Hello everyone, welcome to Let's Crack UPSC CSE English with Unacademy. And if you want to know more about me, like I have 5 years of teaching experience. Just 1 minute. So like I have 5 years of teaching experience for civil services. So despite of being a failure in this examination, I have made my mind to give up the best for the future aspirants who are going to crack this civil services. And I have attended civil services interview twice, and I have given mains examination more than couple of times, and every time I have written this examination I have cracked preliminary examination with flying colors. So every time when I have appeared for this examination, I had many loopholes associated with me. I could not concentrate each and every corner what actually UPSC wants. So that is the range where I'll be focusing upon, and I'll be helping you in that regard. Clear? So, and on this Let's Crack UPSC CSE English channel, this is a marathon session where I'll be discussing about some of the most important aspects of geomorphology. And in this lecture, we are going to discuss about the most important concepts of geomorphology, and this would be the part 1, and the part 2 of this geomorphology session would happen right away tomorrow, that is on Sunday, exactly at 8:30 p.m. Clear? So I'll be helping you in every regard for your preliminary examination. So before I start up with my lecture, let me introduce one of the India's largest learning platform, that is Unacademy. So if you want to crack civil services just by sitting at your home, this is the best possible platform where you can achieve your goal. What you have to do is just open your Play Store and drop Unacademy learning app and try to install that particular app. Once you install that particular app, you will be redirected towards the home page, and near to the home page you can choose your goal. So all obviously you would be choosing the goal of UPSC CSE. So apart from UPSC CSE, Unacademy provides you coaching. Unacademy provides you the learning platform for more than 30 examinations in our country. Clear? So you can choose your goal, whatever the goal you may want to become. So once your app is installed, choose your goal and try to get the subscription of Unacademy. So it is only through subscription you can watch these particular lectures. So once you get the subscription, you will be getting unlimited live access and recorded courses from one of the top educators of India. On the Unacademy platform, we have more than 80 plus educators, especially who deal with UPSC CSE category, who have made some of the awesome courses on each and every aspect of your civil services. So if once you get the subscription done, entire UPSC syllabus coverage you would be finding on India's largest learning platform, that is Unacademy. And now I'll show you what are the things which you are going to get. So many people have dropped a message in the live chat. Good evening everyone. So like is my voice audible, is my voice clear? You can just comment in that. If you find any difficulties, you can just drop the message in that live chat. Clear? So once you get the subscription of Unacademy, so what are the things which you are going to get? That would be the biggest doubt on the mind of the aspirants. One particular point is daily you will be having live classes associated with that. So live classes are of two-way communication. In general, live classes happen in that regard, like only one-way communication happen, where there would be least chance of clarifying your doubts. But on an academy platform, that doesn't happen. You can chat with the educator, you can engage in the discussions, you can ask your doubts, and you can also attend the answer polls. All these things happen while the class is going on. You can clarify your doubts just while the class is going on. And the second most important thing is you will find live tests and quizzes on the platform through which you can evaluate your preparation. So to evaluate your preparation, this would be the best method so that you can accelerate or you can maintain the consistency of your performance. And apart from that, you will be getting detailed analysis of your performance so that you can do very better. So apart from this, you will be finding structured courses. So what are structured courses? Like, it's not like random educators. As I have said, we have more than 80 educators on the platform. So it's not like random educator would be coming and teaching. A person, like for example, if I'm dealing polity for you, I'll prepare a structured for the upcoming 2 months, for the upcoming 1.5 month, and daily I'll be coming up live with that some of the awesome lectures as I'm doing on this particular platform called as Let's Crack UPSC CSE English. Please subscribe to the channel of Let's Crack UPSC CSE English so that you won't find any difficulties. Like, you will be getting continuous notifications of the classes. You can enjoy the lectures while sitting at your home. Clear? So structured courses would be present so that you can plan your preparation. Apart from this, like, you will find unlimited access. For example, let's say because of some emergency you have missed a live lecture, you can just watch recorded lecture, and you can watch this recorded lecture n number of times. Like, you can watch one particular lecture hundreds of times until your subscription is over. This is the major thing which you will be benefited. And if you see the subscription prices, they are very nominal. I'll show you the subscription prices. If you see, before I show you the subscription prices, let me introduce some of the top educators on the platform. If you see, as I've said, we have more than 80 top educators from all over the country. There are some educators who top in the list. They are Sudarshan Gujar, Ayush Sanghi, Brunal Patel sir, and Prakash Kumar. So all these educators, not only these four, all the rest of the 80 educators, they create some of the awesome lectures on this particular platform. Clear? So, like, apart from that, you will also find special classes. They are nothing but, like, away from the regular classes, you will find special classes, and these are of free of cost. Anyone can watch these particular special classes. Once you install the app, you will find a separate column, and on that separate column you can view these special classes, so that you will have an understanding how actually classes run on this particular Unacademy platform. Clear? How actually classes run, you can just know by watching these special classes. All the top educators who are involved on this particular platform, they will be creating special classes. You can have an introduction towards your educator who is dealing on the Unacademy through this special classes. If you watch special classes, you will understand who all are the educators who are dealing with some of the major aspects on this particular thing. Clear? So apart from that, you will find a separate column called as upcoming courses on the platform. Like, with this particular thing, you can plan your preparation for your 2020 or for your 2021 examination, whatever you are going to give. So hope many people are going to give their 2020 examination, right? So people who are going to give their 2020 examination, they might focus on some of the capsule courses which are important for prelims, or people who are planning to give their examination of 2021, they can choose their optional as of now, and they can go with the optional. And many people have a doubt as of now, like, is it only general studies which would be covered? No, absolutely false. Every aspect of your UPSC syllabus would be covered. Every corner of your UPSC syllabus would be covered, along with some major optionals. It's not like if you come up with some of the optionals like Sanskrit, physics, there is no notion that you will not find such kind of optionals. Some of the major optionals like public administration, sociology, geography, history, anthropology, so these kind of major optionals which are taken by many of the aspirants, such kind of optionals would be dealt on the platform. Clear? And if you see, these are the subscription prices. Per month it is 7,200, and per 3 months it is 18,000, and per 6 month it is 28,800, and 12 month it is 36,000, and for 24 month it is just 43,200. If I say you, if I am not wrong, like, with this nominal price, if you are going to crack your civil services, then what else you are in required with just 7,200 per month, if you are going to get the subscription of entire UPSC CSE channel on Unacademy, this would be most worth it on this planet itself. But I generally suggest aspirants to go for 12-month or 24-month subscription. The reason behind it is, like, if you see, per 12 months you are just going to pay 36,000 rupees. It means per month nominal basis, if you see, you are just paying 3,000 rupees. So with this nominal amount, I want you to crack civil services. Clear? And here you can see the 10% discount which is been appeared. And to get the 10% discount on the platform, you have to use this code called as VK10. So please try to use this code called as VK10 so that you would be getting 10% discount on the platform. Clear? Hello, good evening one and all who have just messaged in the live chat group. And if you find any doubts, please do drop it. And in between, for every 5 minutes, I'll be seeing it and I'll be clearing your doubts. Clear? So now let's move into our lecture. Geomorphology, one of the most dream concepts. See, geomorphology, if you listen this name in the physical geography section, then it appears like a terror. So many aspirants, they have commented in the live chat sessions to make an entire course on geomorphology. That's the reason why I have created this particular course called as geomorphology on this particular marathon session. So I'll be dividing the geomorphology into two major parts. Part 1 would be on this day, and part 2 I'll be taking on the next day. Clear? So please do conclude part 1 and part 2 to have a greater grip on geomorphology. I 100% promise you that after you watch this lecture, you will be 100% guaranteed that no doubt would be present in the mind of your brain which is used for geomorphological knowledge. Clear? And everyone know, like, my name is Vijay Kumar. I am an educator on Unacademy and also educator in one of the topmost institutes of India, where I have guided huge number of students on basis of geography as their optional. Clear? So let's start up with our discussions. And now, why I have put latitudes and longitudes here is, many aspirants they still have doubts on the basics. And many aspirants they have commented that, sir, please take a lecture on what actually is an international dateline and how the time actually would be calculated. So that's the reason why first let's start up with the very basics. If you want to understand about the geomorphology, these basics have to be cleared for you. Clear? So hope everyone know like what actually latitude and longitude is. So this is a basic definition which every aspirant has to remember, that latitudes and longitudes are imaginary lines. Do remember that they are not drawn with pencil, they are not drawn with pen. Is it okay, sir and ma'am? So it is not drawn with pencil, pen or highlighter. It's just an imaginary line which is used to determine the location of a place of earth. For example, if I say, if you want to locate New Delhi on the globe, how you would be locating? You would be locating on the basis of latitude, you would be locating on the basis of longitude. If you know one particular area's latitude and longitudinal extent, you can exactly position that particular region which has been calculated. In such a way, any place on the earth's surface can be calculated by using the term called as latitude and longitude. Is this clear? If you see, like, many people they say that earth's shape is spherical, many say that earth's shape is circular in manner, but that it's not true. Earth has some of its own shape, and the shape of earth is geoid. And if you see this particular geoidal structure, it is highly difficult to locate on this particular geoid structure. Hence it is in the terms of latitudes and longitudes we would be focusing, we would be guiding, we would be locating some certain points on that surface. Example, New Delhi can be located at 28-degree north latitude and 77-degree east longitude. Clear? See, latitudes are imaginary. See, here it is latitude. So these all are latitudes, imaginary horizontal lines on the earth's surface. Imaginary horizontal lines on the earth's surface, and the central latitude which is present, that is 0-degree latitude, which we generally term it as equator. This divides the earth's surface into northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. It is the central latitude which divides the earth's surface into northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. In such a way, from the central position of earth's surface, if you could see the central position of earth's surface, from this position we can calculate different latitudes on the earth's surface. See, this would be the 0-degree line. And if you calculate from this, if you keep a protractor over here and if you calculate the degree of margin, this would appear at 15-degree, and this is 30-degree, and from here it would be 45, and from here it would be 90. So by keeping the protractor exactly, we would be calculating the angle of this particular latitude. We would be calculating the position of particular latitude from the central portion of the earth surface. Do remember this point. Clear? And in such a way, we have some of the important latitudes associated with us. That is, at 0-degree we call it as equator, and 23.5-degree north we call it as Tropic of Cancer, And 23 and of degree south, we call it as Tropic of Capricorn. And 66 and of degree north, we call it as Arctic Circle. And 66 and of degree south, we call it as Antarctic Circle. This is a basic thing which you have to know. And coming to the longitudinal version, it is imaginary vertical line, imaginary vertical line on the earth's surface, which divides the earth into two hemispheres. One is eastern hemisphere, one is western hemisphere. And if you see, the central longitude, that is 0 degree longitude, has been drawn from Greenwich in London. So this particular 0 degree longitude has been drawn from Greenwich in London. The reason behind it is like very simple. Why it has been drawn from Greenwich is simply these particular latitudes and longitudes were drawn during the 17th and 18th centuries. And during that time, it was the European nations and it was dominated by Britain, which had most of the geographers who have drawn these imaginary lines. So these imaginary lines, when they got imagined, obviously geographers, if they are mostly from Britain, they will make the passage of this 0 degree longitude to pass from Greenwich itself. That's the only reason. There is no specific reason why actually 0 degree longitude has been passing through Greenwich in London. And from this 0 degree longitude, we calculate the rest of longitudes. If you see, this is the 0 degree longitude. From this, the angular position will make the rest of the longitudes. The angular distance from the central longitude is nothing but the next longitudes which we have. Let it be 10 degree longitude, 10 degree east longitude, 10 degree west longitude, 25 degree east, 25 degree west. All these are nothing but the angular distances which are created from the central longitudinal position. Got this point? Is this clear? And now I have a doubt. Would you clear it? Yes, my dear future bureaucrats, my dear future district collectors, district superintendent of police. So would you clear my doubt? So these are some of the definitions which are present, like latitude is angular distance of a point on the earth's surface measured in the degrees from the center portion of the earth. Please do remember this basic definition. Clear? As the earth is slightly flattened at the poles, the linear distance of the degree of latitude at the pole is little longer than that of equator. What does this statement means? In a simple way, latitudes are parallel to each other. Latitudes are parallel to each other. But longitudes which are present, they are not parallel to each other. Clear? So latitudes which are present, they are parallel to each other. Hence, the distance between two latitudes is almost similar in any place of the earth's surface. For example, if your friend is standing at 45 degree north latitude and you are standing at 46 degree north latitude, so the distance between both of you would be 111 kilometer. Approximately it would be 111 kilometers. But if you see in another regard, the equator, near the equator, the distance between two latitudes, it is 68.704 miles, and at 45 degree it is 69.054 miles. It means because of the flattened nature near the equator, the distance between two latitudes would be increasing while we move from equator towards the polar region. Please do remember this point. While we move from equator to poles, 100% there would be an increase between the distance between two latitudes. Clear? So, and now my doubt is, yes, are you ready guys with my doubt? See, I have said 23 end of degree north latitude and 23 end of degree south latitude are exactly fixed at 23 end of degrees, right? So what is the reason, what made these geographers to mark the 23 end of degree exact latitude? Because that is one of the most important latitude, as known as Tropic of Cancer and known as Tropic of Capricorn. What made the geographers to create those particular 23 end of degree itself as important latitudes, that is Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn? I need an answer. Please try to drop it in your live chat session. Clear? So please try to see that. I'll just see in that live chat session. We'll move further accordingly. And see, as this diagrammatical representation which you can see, the equator which is present clear, that is at 0 degree. And if you see Tropic of Cancer 23 and of degree, Arctic Circle 66 and of degree, and polar region 90 degree, and South Pole 90 degree, South Antarctic Circle, and Tropic of Capricorn. What is the reason behind it? Yes, many are answering. Angle of inclination, Thalaris Srinivas, Abhidikshit Bada, tiltness of Earth. Earth is tilted at 23 and of degree. Angle of inclination. Yes, the region will come under torrid zone. Shabash, who is this? So I could not find the name, but absolutely somewhat near answers you have given. I'll show you why it is within a few slides. Just until then, please give the answers. Clear? If you see longitude which is present, it is angular distance, as I've said, measured in degrees along the equator east or west of prime meridian. So the angular distance measured from the prime meridian, that is 0 degree longitude, that would be calculated as the rest of the longitudes. If you see longitudes, as they are not parallel to each other, obviously everyone know. So longitudes, they have the maximum distance between them near the equator. And if you see these longitudes moving away from the equator, we would be having the reduction of distance between two longitudes. So moving towards the polar regions, we would be experiencing longitudinal shrinkage. That is the reason why what generally happens is this longitudinal shrinkage will 100% help in understanding different time zones of that. We would be seeing that within a few while. As I have said, like unlike the equator, please do read these statements which are very absolutely true. I am not reading all this stuff on the basis of factual information. Please try to read them. Clear? Now, on the basis of longitudes, we can calculate the time. Yes, many have given the answers. Angle of inclination, tiltness, based on temperature, torrid zone moving towards pole, temperature will decrease. Yes, what actually happens, I'll be showing you. While explaining the concept of season, I'll let you know. Clear? So just wait until then. So first we will calculate this longitude and time. On the basis of longitude, it is true that we can calculate the time. So how we can calculate the time? I'll show you a simple differentiation. Please try to remember that. You will 100% gain the knowledge on that particular regard. If you see, for Earth to take one rotation, it is 24 hours approximately. Is it true? And if you see, in every 24 hours, it means Earth is taking 360-degree rotation. Am I correct? Yes, absolutely. It means per every 1 hour, Earth is rotating 15 degree. This is also absolutely true. Simple differentiation. It means for every 60 minutes, Earth is rotating 15 degree. It means for 1 degree to rotate, Earth takes 4 minutes. So please do remember this criteria. You are done. 100%. You will be able to calculate any place on the Earth on the basis of what actually the time is over there. Just call your friend who is in US and ask what is the longitudinal position of him, and just calculate it and say the time what is actually present there. It is very simple. What we generally calculate this, we would be seeing how we would be calculating. See, we would be calculating the time generally from 0 degree longitude. Done. It means simply remember that, for example, if it is 12 noon at the 0 degree longitude, how the time is calculated at 90 degree east and how the time is calculated at 90 degree west. This would be the biggest question now. So how this would be calculated is very simple. See, this 90 degree east is one such kind of longitude which has already received the sun rays. Everyone know Earth rotates from west to east. Clear? So in this direction, what generally happens is, it is the eastern hemisphere which receives the sun rays first. It means the particular date or day starts in the eastern hemisphere first. After the day completes in eastern hemisphere, then only the day starts in western hemisphere. This is a very simple logic. And how you will be calculating the time? See, if he has given the time at 0 degree longitude as 12 noon, then what is the time at 90 degrees? It is very simple. 90 degree and 1 degree calculates for 4 minutes. 90 into 4 minute, it is 360 minute. 360 minute is nothing but 6 hours. And you have to add the time towards this 12 noon. So add 12 noon and 6 hours, answer would be 6 p.m. Why I am adding the time here? Because this position has already completed the time. So obviously this particular time which is present, the 12 noon, that has already completed in this zone, so we have to add the time here. If we want to calculate the time at 90° west, 90° difference would be 6 hour, and when you calculate on the western side of the given longitude, then please subtract the time. So subtract 12 minus 6, answer would be 6 am, and at 90° west the time would be 6 am. And if you are living at 90° east, it would be good evening for you, and if your friend is living at 90° west, it would be good morning for him. Just remember this simple definition, you can 100% calculate this. Now I'll be giving a question for you. Is it clear for everyone? Now I'll be giving a question for you. If the time at 30° west, if the time at 30° west is 10 am, what is the time at 30° east? Please do calculate it. I need the answer from everyone who are watching. Approximately 42 people are watching live now. I need the answer right away. Everyone has to answer this. If the time at 30° west is 10 am, what is the time at 30° east? Please don't get confused. Go with the basics. I need an answer for everyone. No one can escape from it. Otherwise, I won't move further. I need an answer at least from 10%, 20, 30% of the people who are just watching it. Clear? So the answer would be simply between 30° west and 30° east, we have 60° longitudinal difference. Answer is 10:40. Answer is 12 am. Wow, wonderful. So we will just see what actually the time is. Clear? So approximately we have 60° difference in between 30° west and 30° east. So 60° into 4 minutes, it is 240 minutes. So 240 minute, it is nothing but 4 hours. So as it is located on the east, we have to add the time. As I have given the eastern longitude to calculate, and I have given the base point as western longitude, you have to add the time. Add 4 hours to 10, answer would be 2 p.m. So people who have given 2 p.m. as answer, perfectly right, congratulations for them. So यार 12 p.m. कहाँ से आ गया बच्चों? लाइक तो यार सिंपली लाइक डिफरेंस देख लीजिए, लाइक 30° वेस्ट से लेके 0° लॉन्गिट्यूड. सो अप टू फ्रॉम 30° वेस्ट टू 0° लॉन्गिट्यूड इट इज 30°, एंड फ्रॉम 0 to 30° ईस्ट, what does it mean? You have 30, so 30 plus 30, 60° difference, and 60 into 4, 240 minute, and 240 minute is nothing but 4 hour. So as I have given the eastern longitude, obviously add the time, add 4 hours to 10 am, answer would be absolutely 2 p.m. And people who have given the 2 p.m. as answer, congratulations for everyone. Chalo, shall we move further? Would you calculate in this particular regard, or shall I give you one more example? Clear? So as I have said all these things, like as there makes one complete revolution of 360, one complete rotation of 360° in one day, 24 hour, it passes through 15° in 1 hour, or 1° in 4 minutes. So please do remember this simplification. It would be very simple for you to understand. Clear? So on the basis of this Greenwich meridian longitude, we would be calculating the time. The entire world would calculate its time on the basis of Greenwich meridian. So the sun exactly perpendicular to the Greenwich meridian, it would be 12 noon for it. And in the same way, sun perpendicular to any other longitude, it would be 12 noon for them. Clear? One more. Okay. Yes, Manoj Kumar, Vijayvardhan Reddy, Govinda Reddy. Yes, one more is like if the time at 30°, see, I'm writing it here. If the time at 30° west is 6 p.m., what is the time at 85° west? Please calculate it. Everyone, please calculate it. Time at 30° west, 6 p.m. Time at 85° west. So first thing, either you have to subtract or add, then you have to calculate it. Yeah, I have got my answer. I also calculated it just now. What's the time? Please, you have to calculate it very soon. We have to move huge, longer time. We have to enter into geomorphology next. See, please, once question. The time at 30° west is 6 p.m. What is the time at 85° west? Calculate it and say me. Clear? And in such a way, chalo, on the basis of longitude, we can calculate it very easily. Yes, it is absolutely true. 100% it is true. Absolutely it is true. But do you really think in a country like India, if you see the India's longitudinal extent, whenever we calculate, it would be 68 degrees 7 minute east longitude to 97 degree 25 minute east longitude. It is right away extended from Gormota of Gujarat until the Kibutu region of Arunachal Pradesh. So, do you really think every person who is standing on their particular longitude would calculate the time accordingly on a basis of Greenwich meridian by calculating, yes, the time gap between it is 30° and 13 to 4 it is 120-minute difference, and between Greenwich meridian and what I am standing is 2 hours? Do you think really people would be calculating it? No, absolutely. ऐसा करेंगे तो like if you are doing it, then we would be the biggest fools on this planet. Then how come it could be managed? Like if you see in a country like India, if every person start maintaining their own time, like India's approximate longitude difference is 30 degrees. So if for every one longitude, if we maintain different standard time zones line, like if you see approximately India would have 2 hour difference. If you see India's longitudinal extent, if I say approximately we have 30-degree longitudinal difference. Clear? So that particular 30-degree longitudinal difference will give us a gap of 2 hours. It just simply mean that if Arunachal Pradesh is experiencing the sun rays at a particular time called as X, Gujarat will experience the same particular sun rays of the time called as X plus 2 hours. As we have 30-degree longitudinal difference, hence we would be experiencing 2 hour difference. So it means Arunachal Pradesh would be experiencing the sun rays 2 hours before than Gujarat, and Gujarat would be experiencing the sun rays like later 2 hours after the Arunachal Pradesh have received. Clear? So how could you justify this particular thing? So to avoid that confusions, for example, let's say if your friend is traveling from Itanagar to Ahmedabad, and if his flight is going to arrive at 8 a.m. according to his time, like according to his time he has started at 6 a.m. and according to his time he will be reaching at 8 a.m. Done. And accordingly the time here when the flight starts in Itanagar is 4 a.m. and when it reaches accordingly is 6 a.m. So he will be just seeing the time as 6 a.m. and he will be waiting for 8 a.m. Have you got this disturbance which would be created in the interior of the countries? So every time such kind of disturbances would be created within the country, if we start calculating the time at different longitudes, that would be a huge burden. And see, I am just saying an example of India, but just remember what generally happens if a person living in Russia, if one person living on the eastern corner of Russia, and if one person living on the western corner of Russia, how difficult it would be. Approximately, if you see the Russia's longitudinal extent difference is 150-degree. So 150-degree longitudinal difference, if it is present, 150 into 4, 600 minutes. So approximately 10-hour difference. So we can calculate it as 12-hour difference. If it would be 6 a.m. in the morning, it would be the before day 6 p.m. in the evening. So if a person from this zone, if he messages a friend who is living on the western corner of Russia as good morning, he would reply it as good evening. So these kind of confusions would be there within the country. So to avoid such kind of confusions, every country, they will maintain a standard time zone line. Using one particular longitude, a country would be maintaining a standard time zone line. In such regard, India, by using 82.5 degree east longitude, Indians have calculated it as Indian standard time zone line. So let it be the person in Arunachal Pradesh, let it be the person in Gujarat, Hyderabad, Delhi, Chennai, whatever it may be, everyone has to follow this standard time zone line time itself. So standard time zone line is ahead of 5.5 hours ahead of Greenwich meridian. So Indian standard time zone line which is present, that is 5.5 hours ahead of Greenwich meridian time. Clear? So why it is 5.5 hours? You can simplify it. 82.5 into 4. 82 into 4, 328, and half into 4 plus 2. 330 minutes. 330 minutes will give us 5.5 hours. It is a very simple calculation. So the answer for the given question which I have given is 220. So I have given it as 6 p.m. right? So 6 p.m. minus 55 degree. 55 into 4. It is somewhere around 110, 220. It means 2 hours, 3 hours, 40 minutes difference. So answer is 2:20 p.m. The answer which for the second question which I have given is 2:20 p.m. Clear? So is it clear? So every country maintains such kind of standard time zone line, and now there are chances that you may get a question from the standard time zone line. Why? Because the India government is trying to make a separate standard time zone line for northeastern states. So during the British colonial era, we had a time zone line called as Chai Bagan time. So like those northeastern states which are most dominant for the tea cultivation, they were in required with a separate standard time zone line, and during the British era we had maintained this Chai Bagan time zone line, but post independence we have removed it, and from then we are using only one standard time zone line. But there are some difficulties which are being created because of usage of one standard time zone line itself. Then like Indian government is trying to maintain a second standard time zone line. Hope this would be news. Like you may get a question from this particular regard. Please try to focus on that particular aspect. Clear? So near to the Sikkim region, I think like this Chai Bagan time is going to pass. Or if government gives an approval, then we would be knowing exactly what actually happens. Clear? So, and for Indian standard, Indian type of typical subcontinent, one particular standard time zone line is manageable. But if you think for Russia, do you think really one standard time zone line is manageable? It is absolutely blind statement that such kind of one single standard time zone line, because of its huge extent, is not manageable. So such kind of countries, on the basis, they can divide certain standard time zone lines for them. Clear? Video is trucking. Video it is trucking, I think so, just because your internet is low. I hope. From my side, absolutely everything is fine. From my side, everything is fine. Please, people raise their hands if everything is clear with the video and with the audio. I think just 1 minute. See, just 1 minute. I'll have an internet check once. Speed test. Just give me 1 minute. So let me check once. From my side, it is very perfect. From my side, it is perfect. Please try to check it from your side. Like, sometimes, of course, your voice is fluctuating. The thing might be a problem from your internet. Like, everything is fine. Please raise your hands so that I can continue up with the discussion. See, voice fluctuating, it depends upon your particular. Yeah, it's fine now. Okay. We'll move further. Clear? Shall I move further? Chalo, thank you. So please, if anything happens in such a way, please let me know. And in such a way, many countries, they have adopted a system of maintaining multiple standard time zone line, and it depends upon like the thing which is associated with that particular continent's breadth. It's not like Sri Lanka comes and says I'll be maintaining 25 standard time zone lines because it's our wish. If you do such kind of activity, then every minute when you walk you have to change your time zone line. Like such kind of smaller countries, they can't accept such kind of multiple standard time zone lines, like China, Russia, France, USA, and Canada, Brazil. Such kind of countries which are very large enough, they can maintain certain standard time zone lines. Clear? If you see, so countries, they have much standard time zone lines. USSR, they have 11 standard time zone lines, but after disintegration, clear, Russia now has 9 standard time zone lines. Clear? And if you see, both Canada and USA, they have 5 time zone lines, that is Atlantic, Eastern, Central, Mountain and Pacific standard time zone lines. In this way, no question would be asked in UPSC on this particular basis. Clear? So let's move further. You can see this map directly. So India, where it is located exactly, if you see, Delhi plus 5 end of degree, so sorry, plus 530 hours. Done. So now the thing comes about international dateline. Simply, the longitudinal aspect, whenever we see the central longitude, 0 degree longitude, it is considered as Greenwich Meridian line. This is absolutely true. Everyone know about this. And 180 degree longitude, which is present, that is called as international dateline. And why it is called as international dateline, we would be seeing this. So is the diagrammatical representation clear for everyone? If you see, you say, like if you see, this is 180 degree longitude and it is in a zigzag way. Why it is in a zigzag way, I'll be saying it within a few while. Just 1 minute. Then if you see, this is one particular longitude, and see the sun rays which generally fall. Japan is known as land of rising sun. Everyone know about this, right? Japan is known as land of rising sun. So why Japan is known as land of rising sun is, as I've mentioned you, and as we have discussed, it is the earth which rotates from west to east in general. Clear? It means it is the eastern hemisphere which will receive the first sun rays of the day. It means this Russian margin and this Japan region, it will be receiving the first sun rays of that particular day. And if you see in this regard, for example, let's say today it's for 31st December as of now, and the morning, early morning, it is 6 a.m. in the morning, and the same amount of sun rays on the particular date to fall on Northern America, it takes approximately 24 hours. Why? Because the earth has to almost rotate itself once. The earth has to take one complete rotation to reach this North American region. Clear? So North America is just beside to this particular longitude that is on the western margin. So hence North America, now it would be experiencing somewhere around 30th December. As there were changes in the hemisphere, as I've already said, we would be having different dates in the hemisphere. It is the Eastern Hemisphere which have the entry of date of that particular day first happens in the Eastern Hemisphere. So in the Western Hemisphere, it happens later on. So approximately between these 2 points, on the both sides of international dateline, there would be two different dates. One would be 31st December, one would be 30th December. Exactly somewhere around 24-hour difference would be there. It means there is completely 1 day difference. That means there is completely one date change. So when you move from international dateline towards east or west, you would be having date change. Hence, that is the reason why, as there is a change in date, we consider this 180-degree longitude as international dateline. Simply, let's examine this event. See, like we have waited for the 31st New Year evening and we have partied completely, and now it has the date has arrived, that is 1st January, and now it would be 31st December here. And the 31st party which you have done in this zone, like it was not sufficient. So what you can do is just you can travel to this location. Just you can shift the international dateline and you can reach this destination, and now you have again entered into 31st December. It means from international dateline, when you move towards east, you would be having repetition of date. It means you are having a gain in a day. If the same scene repeats in an opposite way, like if you are at this junction and if you are traveling from international dateline towards east, then you would be having losing of 1 day. So because of this day and date differences, we would be having the, we call generally this 180-degree longitude as international dateline. Please do remember this statement. See, if in option, if anytime it would be, if it comes like which of the following are considered as international datelines, if in option if there is no 180-degree longitude, then please blindly put it as none of this. Many of us, what we would be doing is we would be thinking in an extra manner and we would be discussing it and we would be putting it as 0-degree longitude. I'll explain the reason even for it. As you discuss like 180-degree longitude, it is nothing but the extension of this 0-degree longitude. You will just blind heartedly move and put it as 0-degree longitude, but don't do this mistake in any regard. Please try to focus upon this particular thing, that if you see 180-degree longitude, then only put the answer over there. Clear? Is this clear for everyone? And now, why it is in a zigzag way? If you see this 180-degree longitude location, it is completely in Pacific Ocean, and Pacific Ocean is known for huge amount of volcanism, and because of volcanism, huge amount of island groups have been developed, and this problem is with this island groups. Just imagine if international dateline passes through this particular island, what happens? One portion of the island would be experiencing 31st December and one portion of the island would be experiencing 30th December. Is this clear for everyone? So, to avoid such kind of confusions on international discussions, what they have did is they have just twisted this international dateline. Now the international dateline is not in this straight way. It is somewhat in a zigzag manner. You can see this. Once you open your atlas, you can observe this point. We'll move further. So Indian standard time zone line, as I've said, it is 82.5 degree east, and there is an assignment for you. Like the assignment is like, see from where Indian standard time zone line longitude is passing, see from which states it is passing, and see from where in which of the union territories it is passing. This is an assignment from my side. Please do it and comment later on. Because the islands are present near to it, get confused, so avoid the confusion. Yes, absolutely true, sir. It is 180-degree longitude, exactly opposite to longitude. Chalo, let's move further and see chai bagan time, which I have mentioned, which Indians wanted to re-establish it. So 150 years ago, British colonialists introduced chai bagan time or bagan time, a time scheduled which is observed by the tea planters, which was 1 hour ahead of IST. This was done to improve productivity of optimizing the usage of daytime. That's it. So after independence, Assam along with the rest of India has been following IST since the past 66 years, but again government want to re-establish this chai bagan time. So government has considered it and discussions have been happened in the parliament as well on this particular regard. Hope so within a few months or within 1 or 2 years, we can again see this chai bagan time zone line. So next, if you see, like, we have two motions of earth, one is rotation, one is revolution. Rotation revolve, like, rotating around its own axis, which will give us day and night, it is called as rotation. And revolution, moving around the sun in an elliptical order path, it is called as revolution. So earth take 24 hours for one rotation, 365 1 by 4th day for one revolution, and this 1 by 4th day for every 4 years it would be calculated, and extra one day in February would be added. And why only it is added in February? Because according to the Greek calendar, it is the March month which comes first. March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, and the last month would be February. So the remaining days were added to February, and this extra one day would also be added to February itself. There is nothing confusion. It's very simple, clear. So if you see, on the basis of rotation, we would be having day and night. This is a very simple concept. Everyone would be knowing. Earth rotates along its own axis from west to east. This is a common point which everyone knows. And in that regard, if we calculate this and see, for revolution, what are the consequences of revolution? Many people they have doubt that is the revolution reason for the seasons. Can anyone explain what is the actual reason for seasons? I'll say your statement, please say it true or false. That's it. Just 1 minute. So the reason for season is, if sun is very much nearer to if earth is very much nearer to the sun, then we will have summer, and if earth is far away from the sun, then we will be having winter. Is this statement true or false? Please let me know. True, revolution is the reason for seasons. Due to revolution, season causes. Sir, it's struck again. Vamshi Lanke, like, from my side it is everything clear. Please check it from your side. Please check it from your side. Please check it. False. Then what is the reason? See, many people as of now, since childhood, I used to believe the same statement before I started my civil services preparation. And the reason is not true. If the sun, earth is very much closer to the sun, then if we had summer, then earth would be closest to the sun on January 3rd. But in January, we would be having winter. And earth is far away from the sun on July 4th. Then we would be having somewhat summer and rainy season. So hence this statement itself is false statement. Then what is the reason for seasons? Simply, it is revolution around the earth's axis along with the tiltness. This is the reason for concept of season. See, the earth is tilted on its own axis of about 23.5 degrees. So because of this tiltness, what generally happens is, the sun rays which are falling onto the earth's surface, they fall in variable manner. If you could see, now it is the southern hemisphere which is facing the sun directly. It means the southern hemisphere would be experiencing summer and northern hemisphere would be experiencing winter. So it is the phase of December 22nd. So as we are in northern hemisphere, we would be experiencing winter season, and in the regions of Australia, Brazil, South Africa, we would be experiencing summer. So the phenomena which happens on December 22nd, on which the sun rays exactly fall onto Tropic of Capricorn, that phenomena is called as winter solstice. Here solstice is nothing but experiencing unequal days and nights. Unequal days and nights. It is nothing but solstice. And as earth revolves in this way, and it reaches this junction. And now if you see, the sun rays are falling exactly onto the equator. So during the March phenomena, we would be having equal distribution of sun rays in both the hemispheres, in the northern hemisphere, in the southern hemisphere. And during this phenomena, what happens is, we would be having equal days and nights. we would be having equal days and nights, and this phenomena of equal days and nights which generally happen, that is called as equinox, and this can be considered as spring equinox. Clear? So that happens on 21st March, and earth revolves again and during the month of June. Now it comes in this junction, and now the sun rays are falling perpendicularly on northern hemisphere and they are bypassing the southern hemisphere. Hence southern hemisphere experiences winter, northern hemisphere experiences summer. So during the May June phenomena we would be experiencing deep summers in the northern hemisphere. This phenomena is called as summer solstice. Again we would be having unequal days and nights. Unequal days and nights, and again earth revolves and again earth reaches this position. Now the sun rays are falling onto the equator. Again equal distribution of sun rays on the both zones, hence we would be experiencing equal days and nights. And this phenomena again it is called as equinox, called as autumn equinox, which happens on September 23rd. Now let's examine if earth might have not been tilted. See, if earth might have not been tilted and if it might have been placed in its axis in this straight line. So every time sun rays might have fall on the equator. Here also every time sun rays are falling on equator, and here also sun rays, if it is not tilted, would be fall on equator, and here also sun rays would be falling on equator. So if earth's tiltness is not, if we don't have the tiltness of earth axis, then we won't experience the concept of seasons. Clear? So hence it is revolution along with the tiltness of the earth axis, the reason behind the concept of season. This is an image which I have took directly from NCERT. You can just go and watch this NCERT. You will 100% gain a huge knowledge on this. Clear? Shall we move further? Is this clear for everyone? Now the question which I have asked, why the geographers have drawn the 23 end of degree as Tropic of Cancer and Capricorn. The reason behind it was, see, if you might have observed in this particular image, the sun rays are not falling perpendicularly beyond the Tropic of Cancer or beyond the Tropic of Capricorn. Sun rays are falling directly only within this zone of Tropic of Cancer and Capricorn. That's the reason why this particular region between 23 end of degree north and 23 end of degree south, it is considered as tropical zone, or it is considered as torrid zone, or it is considered as heat excess zone. And everyone know about solar eclipse and lunar eclipse. There is nothing to say about this solar eclipse and lunar eclipse. Clear? So now we will start up with the core geomorphology section. Shall we move further? If everything is clear, I'll be moving further. And please try to subscribe to Unacademy channel. Please install Unacademy learning app today itself, so to enjoy more and more lectures just by sitting at your home. Clear? So please give a like symbol and also do share this particular video as much as you can, so that it provides me a huge motivation to come up very better and better for you. So let's start up with the basic thing of geomorphology, that is interior of the earth. So geomorphology, it itself says that geo means earth, this everyone know. Morphology is modification. So earth when it was formed and earth which is present as of now, both are not similar. We had continuous processes which have changed continuously, and because of these processes which has happened, earth has modified itself n number of times, and due to this modification, huge number of landforms have been developed onto the earth's surface, resulting into the present structure which we can see. If you want to understand about the mountain building process, it is geomorphology which gives an answer. If you want to understand why volcanism comes out, it is geomorphology which comes out as an answer. It is, if you want to understand why a trench has been formed, it is, you have to understand why a continental margin has been developed, how a coastline has been developed. This particular things would be understood by this particular geomorphology. Clear? So if you see, like interior of the earth, like why there is a necessity to understand about interior of the earth, one major point is to understand the earth surface. like how the mineral composition is made up of. You have to understand about interior of the earth. And to understand about volcanism, if you see, like there are many concepts. If you see in your GS paper 1 syllabus, you have a separate tagline called as geophysical phenomena, like that of volcanism, earthquakes, tsunamis, cyclones. So if you want to understand such kind of huge concepts, then it is 100% necessary that you have to read about interior of the earth. If you want to understand about earth's magnetic field, you have to read about interior of the earth. If you want to understand about internal structure of various solar system objects, you have, apart from the earth surface, there are many celestial objects which are present in our solar system. So to understand the internal structure of these various solar system objects, it is 100% necessary that you have to understand about interior of the earth. And also to understand the evolution and present composition of atmosphere, you have to understand about interior of the earth. And for mineral exploration, you have to understand about interior of the earth. In that way, we will be understanding about interior of the earth now. Clear? See, it's buffering just because it might be a problem from your side, Suryavardhan sir. So it might be a problem from your side. Like from my side, everything is clear because I'm online, right? I'm also watching the video. I'm also watching the live chat comments. So I hope problem would be from your side. Please check it out. Clear? So if you see like the direct sources which make us to understand about the interior of the earth, like deep earth mining and drilling, which reveal the nature of rocks deep down the surface. But how much deep you would be drilling? Only limited extent we can drill. So these direct sources generally doesn't help much. And if you see volcanic eruptions, this is also one of the most important direct source where we can understand about the interior of the earth's surface until its mantle depth. And if you see like another direct source as mining, drilling, see all these direct sources, they give very limited answers for us. They give very limited answers for us. Clear? So in this regard, these direct sources are nothing but which can give us limited answers. But there is one particular thing which is an indirect source through which we can study about seismic wave studies. Clear? So we can study about interior of the earth through these seismic wave studies. These are the most important source available to understand about the layered structure of our earth surface. So what are seismic waves? Generally, I'll give a brief description of it. Seismic waves are mechanical waves. Mechanical waves. And these mechanical waves, they require some medium to pass. They doesn't pass through vacuum. So these mechanical waves generally they doesn't pass through vacuum. So they require a medium. Medium might be liquid, solid or gaseous state, but they have to have a medium which has to be passed. Clear? And apart from this, these particular mechanical waves, through this we can easily understand by sending them into the interior of the earth surface, we can easily understand what is the structure of interior of the earth surface. Clear? So like apart from this, I'll be discussing about the seismic waves studies within a few while. And if you see, what are the sources for the earth's heat? Many people would be believing that, as everyone know, while we move interior of the earth's surface, for every 32 meter we would be having an increase of temperature of 1 degree centigrade. So while moving deeper interior of the earth's surface, we'll be having 1 degree centigrade increase for every 32 meter. What is the reason why the temperature would be increasing while we move into the interior of the earth's surface? That would be the biggest question now. Clear? It is just because of the radioactive decay. The radioactive materials which are present in the interior of the earth's surface, because of decay of this particular radioactive materials, we would be having the earth's heat which would be generated. The high temperature below the crust which is present, it is attributed to the disintegration of radioactive substances. And the nuclear decay happens primarily in the crust and mantle. That's the reason why, do remember this point. With this point, I have a point which is associated with this. This is like the rate of increase of temperature. Please kindly follow this statement. the rise of increase of temperature is maximum in the upper layers of the earth's surface, that is within the crust range, we would be having maximum rate of increase of temperature. Generally moving into the interior of the earth's surface, temperature increases, that is for sure, but the rate of increase of temperature, it is maximum in the earth's crust, and post the earth's crust the rate of increase of temperature slowly starts decreasing, and reaching the mantle, reaching the core areas, we would be having the complete decrease of rate of increase of temperature. Please do remember this, rate of increase of temperature decreases with depth after this particular crust. Clear? And second source of heat which is present, one is decay of radioactive materials which are present. Second thing is primordial heat. What is primordial heat? The rest of heat which is left over from the earth's formation, it is known as primordial heat. These two are the reasons why we have maximum temperatures when we move into the interior of the earth's surface. One is radioactive substances which decay, and second is primordial heat which is present. Please do remember these two statements. And now we will see the seismic wave studies. We'll try to challenge the interior of the earth's surface by sending these seismic waves. Seismic waves are generally considered as earthquake waves which are mechanical in nature, which requires a medium to pass, and this medium should be either liquid, solid or gaseous state. And this particular seismic waves, they travel with different velocities in different mediums. This is the most important point which you have to note in this particular regard. Clear? And if you see, there are huge type of seismic waves. Like if you see, seismic waves can be divided as body waves and surface waves. Body waves are generated due to release of energy at the focus and move in all directions traveling through the interior of the earth's surface. Hope everyone know what actually is a focus point. Focus is a point where the actual earthquake starts, where actual the release of energy starts, that is focus point. And exactly the nearest perpendicular to the focus on the earth's surface, it is called as epicenter. And during the time of earthquake, the point which is present near the epicenter, in those regions we would be experiencing maximum destruction. Like for example, if epicenter is located in Delhi, then we would be having maximum destruction which would be happened at Delhi. Got this point? Clear? So in all of this, it is body waves through which we would be answering the questions which are required for reading about interior of the surface. If you see, there are two types of body waves. One is P waves, or called as primary waves, which are longitudinal in nature, and wave propagation is similar to that of sound waves. And if you see the second type of waves called as S waves or secondary waves, they are transverse in nature, and the wave propagation is similar to the ripples on the surface of the water. Got this point? Clear? In this way, when we send, if you see the seismic waves versus interior of the earth's surface, this is a direct figure which I have been taken from NCERT itself. If you see, in this consideration of primary waves and secondary waves doesn't pass through a portion called as liquid. It only travels through solid and gaseous state. And in your NCERT, if you might have read this particular statement that secondary waves only pass through solids. Yes, there, because of non-availability of gases, he has not mentioned, but secondary waves do also pass through gases. So we have tried to send secondary waves into the interior of the Earth's surface. They have traveled with different velocities of speed, and reaching somewhere at a depth of 2900 kilometers, they could not move into the interior of the Earth's surface. Why? Because from 2900 kilometers range, there was a refraction. The waves have refracted from this zone of 2900 kilometer, and they have come onto the Earth's surface, keeping an angle, maintaining an angle of 103 degrees. So on calculating on this particular basis, what we have understood is the waves which have received on the Earth's surface at 103 degree angle Through that, we have calculated that the interior of the Earth's surface post 2900 kilometer, it is a solid, it is completely liquid, because S waves haven't passed through those particular depths post that 2900 kilometer range. So everyone know the upper portion of the crust which we have, that is solid, and through volcanic eruptions we know the mantle portion is made up of molten state or semi-liquid or semi-solid state, clear. But post 2900 kilometers, if S waves are not passing, it gives a resemblance that these particular S waves, as they are not passing through that 2900 kilometer depth, we have not experienced solid over there, rather at the outer portions of this particular core area we experienced this particular liquid. And next we have tried to pass this particular P wave from it, and when we have tried to pass P waves from the interior of that surface post 2900 kilometer also, we had seen the passage of these P waves, but there was some deflection in speeds, and these P waves, they have came onto the Earth's surface at somewhere around 142 degree. So these P waves were received at an angle of 142 degree, clear. So this is the most important point which you have to just 1 minute. So these P waves, they have given a notion that while after 2900 kilometers we have examined, there was a decrease in velocity of P waves, and as there was decrease in velocity of P waves, we have not experienced, like we have experienced liquid in that region, so that we have calculated liquid. And if you see, the entire core is not liquid. The central portion of the core, which is so called as inner core, which is somewhat having super solid, which is completely of solid of nature. How we have calculated that at the central portion of the core we had solid? By the waves which are passing through different layers, they are showing some deflections in speeds. So through the deflections of speeds, we have calculated that we have the super solid at the central portion of the core which we have. Through this, we have calculated the medium of the interior of the Earth's surface. If you could see, the interior of the Earth's surface at the central portion, it is nothing but super solid, which is covered by outer core, which is called as liquid, and then we have mantle, then we have crust. Is this clear? Chaitanya, please try to check out your internet. Like from my side, it is almost perfect. And if you see, the interior of that surface can be dominated in this way. Earlier, regarding with the interior of that surface, we had Sial, Sima and Nife, which was actually given. Clear? So it was given by Edward Suez. But this is not actually true. He has given on the basis of the mineral composition. Do you really think the interior of that surface only have the Sial and manganese associated with that? No, absolutely false. It may have different minerals associated with that. Just try to remember the latest version. That is, like, if you see the topmost layer of that surface, it is called as crust, and the next portion can be called as mantle. If you could see this particular portion, it can be called as mantle, the entire zone, and from a depth of 2900 kilometer and up to a depth of 6378, it is called as core. So this is general terminology which we generally use, that is crust, and we can divide it as upper mantle, lower mantle, and we can divide it as outer core and inner core as well. Yes, Sunanda ma'am, is my video? Just I'll check out the internet once. Please give me 1 minute. Is this clear now? Is my voice clear? Please let me know. Is my voice clear? Please raise your hands. Yes, Sunanda ma'am. And Chaitanya sir. Sorry, Chaitanya ma'am. I'm extremely sorry. If it is clear, please raise your hands. Clear? If it is clear, please raise your hands. If it is clear, please let me know. I'll continue. Clear? Okay, thank you. So if you see, like most probably whenever you try to remember about the interior of the earth's surface, just 1 minute. Yeah, okay, thank you. Clear? If you see, like about interior of the earth's surface, whenever you read, try to remember it as lithosphere and asthenosphere. See, the mechanical differentiation whenever we read, that is the most important point which you have to remember. Simply lithosphere is nothing but the entire crust portion. So the entire crust portion which has continental crust along with the oceanic crust, the crust portion which is continent and oceanic, and also upper portions of the mantle. Clear? And upper portions of the mantle. So this is nothing but lithosphere, and the rest portion of mantle, it is called as asthenosphere. And if you see the lithosphere and asthenosphere, the relation between them both is like lithosphere is not a continuous body. Simply lithosphere is broken like eggshell, and this one such kind of shell or segment we generally call it as plate, and we will be discussing that in plate tectonics theory. However, so as of now, just remember that lithosphere is not a continuous body, it is broken like an eggshell, and this particular lithosphere which is present, that lithosphere, as it is broken like an eggshell as different plates, it is floating on the next layer called as asthenosphere, and because of this the seafloor spreading process and the plate tectonics theory have been developed. Let's please explain about P waves. P waves are nothing but they are longitudinal waves, like they pass through all the mediums, let it be solid, let it be liquid, let it be gaseous. But P waves, they travel with different velocities in different mediums, like maximum velocity would be in solid, and medium velocity would be in liquid, and the least velocity would be in gaseous state. So please try to recollect and remember these particular statements. Like the crust, if you see, it is the outermost layer of the earth, making up to 0.5 to 1% of the earth's volume and less than 1% of the earth's mass. And if you see, the density increases with depth. In general, whenever you observe, please try to remember, moving into the interior, temperature increases, pressure increases, density increases. Absolutely remember these three statements. Clear? Temperature increases, pressure increases, and density increases. So density increases with depth, and the average density of this particular crustal surface is 2.7 grams per centimeter cube. So average density of the earth surface entire, if you focus, it is 5.51 grams per centimeter cube. And if you see, the thickness of crust varies at a range of somewhere around 5 to 30 kilometers in case of the oceanic crust, and 50 to 70 kilometer in the case of continental crust. So it is the continental crust which is thicker, and it is the oceanic crust which is thinner. Clear? And if you see, the oceanic crust which is thin in nature, it is more denser when compared to that of continental crust. Please do remember this point. The oceanic crust is denser than continental crust. Do remember this point. Oceanic crust is denser than continental crust. This statement will be again repeated in plate tectonics. Then you have to answer this question. Clear? So temperature, if you see, the temperature of the crust increases with depth, reaching values typically in the range of 200 centigrade to 400 centigrade. And as I have said, temperature increases as much as 30 degrees centigrade for every kilometer. As I have said, the temperature the rate of temperature which is present, that particular rate of temperature, rate of increase of temperature is maximum in the upper layers of the crust, and reaching towards the lower depths, that would be decreasing. And if you see about the mantle, it holds about 83 percentage of the earth's volume and holds 67 percentage of the earth's mass, and it extends from Mohorovic discontinuity. Just give me 1 minute. Yeah, please refresh the page, right? My internet, I hope like I have a good connection of internet. Clear. I'll be discussing about these particular discontinuities within a later on. Like this particular mantle, it extends up to a depth of 2,900 kilometers from the crustal surface. Clear. So the lower mantle extends beyond the asthenosphere. It is in solid state. And if you see, the density of the mantle ranges between 3.3 gram per centimeter cube to 5.7 gram per centimeter cube. And the mantle is composed of silicate rocks that are rich in iron, magnesium relative to the overlying crust. Yes, when it buffers, please try to refresh the page. That is the best possible way, and you can just go back and watch this. That is more better, which I feel. 1 minute. వైఫై యూజ్ చేయడం ఆపుతారా అందరూ? వీడియో స్ట్రక్ అవుతుంది, వైఫై ఆపరా? So is it clear now? If it is clear, please raise your hands. I'll continue. From my side, I have checked it, Vijayvardhan Reddy. It's absolutely fine. Shall we continue? Clear. So, and please try to read these things about the outer core and inner core. These are some of the factual informations which are very much required. If you see, as I've said, try to remember the mechanical differentiation every time. The lithosphere, asthenosphere, these kind of key terms would be 100% coming in your like the upcoming theories. Like most number of times we would be using this term called as lithosphere, asthenosphere. So try to please be aware of these particular key statements. Clear? So lithosphere, as I've said, it is a rigid outer part of the earth with thickness varying from 10 to 200 kilometer. So this particular lithosphere, it includes crust and upper portions of the mantle. And this lithosphere is broken into tectonic plates, and the plate tectonic theory which has been developed, that has been developed continuously on this particular basis. Clear? So we will be seeing about asthenosphere is nothing but the upper portion of the mantle, which is called as asthenosphere. Astheno means weak, like it has semi-molten state. So please try to remember these particular key terms which are associated. Once try to go through this whenever you watch this particular lecture. So please do remember these discontinuities which are very important. The first one is Mohorovic discontinuity. It is one such kind of discontinuity is nothing but simply it's a transition zone. It's a transition zone from one layer of the interior of that surface to the next layer. So in this discontinuity zone, neither the temperature increases nor temperature decreases, neither the density increases, density decreases, neither the pressure increases nor the pressure decreases. We would have constant rates of temperatures and densities and pressures. While we have transformation, while there is a transition zone from one particular layer to that of next particular layer, we would be experiencing these discontinuities. And in one such kind of discontinuity, the most important one is Mohorovičić discontinuity. This is one such kind of discontinuity that separates the crust from the mantle. Do remember this. And next, if you see the Esteno-Gutenberg discontinuity, it lies between mantle and the outer core. And apart from this, we also have Lehmann's discontinuity. And Lehmann's discontinuity is that which divides outer core with that of inner core. Please do remember this particular point. Clear? And in some of the books it has also been mentioned as Conrad discontinuity. It is nothing but one such kind of discontinuity which is present between upper crust and lower crust. Clear? So elements which are present in the earth crust, if you see only earth crust, if you see we have oxygen which is dominated, and if you see the entire earth, it is the iron portion which is dominated. Like we have maximum content of iron, and this iron is mostly dominated in the inner core portion. That's the reason why, because of presence of iron at the inner portion of the earth's magnetic field has been developed. If you see, please try to remember the sequential order. There would be chances that you may have questions from these. So try to remember them from ascending to descending, descending to ascending. But at least try to remember that in Earth's crust we have oxygen which is maximum. And in the entire Earth it is the iron which is maximum. Please try to remember this 100%. This will be helping you. They might give you 4 of this and they might ask you to arrange them from top order towards the lower order. Or they might ask you to arrange them from ascending to descending order. Anything might come into picture. Is the video clear now? Please raise your hands. I'll be getting some confidence so that I can move further. We'll move into the next chapter of geomorphology, that is geomorphic movements. Yes, Ankit, Aluri, I'll just get back to you. Clear? So the next most important concept which is associated with geomorphology is geomorphic movements. It is geomorphic movements. Clear? So Earth's crust and its surface are constantly evolving due to various forces emanating from below as well as from above the surface. Those forces which come from the interior of the earth, they are called as endogenic forces. And those forces which act on the earth's surface from above the surface, they are called as exogenic forces. These forces, they cause physical and chemical changes to the geomorphic structure of the earth's surface. And if you see, like some of these changes are very slow, some of these changes are gradual, some of these changes are very fast. It depends upon the movement. So we will move further, you will understand what actually it is. Try to see these particular keywords which are associated with these geomorphic movements. So geomorphic, it is nothing but it is a word relating to form of the landscape and other natural features on the earth's surface. Like you can say the geomorphic region of Himalayas, the geomorphic region of Deccan Plateau, the geomorphic region of Great Plains of India, the geomorphic region of northeastern states. So you can explain those particular things on the basis of this particular keyword called as geomorphic. Next keyword is geomorphic agents. What are the geomorphic agents? What are the external geomorphic agents? If you see, it might be running water, it might be ice mass which would be moving as as that of glacier. It might be wind, it might be oceanic wave, it might be oceanic current, which removes, transports and deposits the earth material, creating the change in the geomorphic aspect of that region. And next keyword is geomorphic process. It may be physical and chemical process that take place on the earth's surface, like folding, faulting, weathering, erosion. I'll be explaining these keywords in the upcoming slides. Don't worry accordingly with this. And geomorphic movements also we would be seeing now. See, do remember this tabular column. With this, everything would be done. With this, everything you can easily manage. Easily manage. So I'll give you 1 minute time. Exactly. Once go through this very fastly. I'll explain this. I'll take a bit rest for 1 minute. Just go through it very fastly. Clear? See, if you observe the geomorphic process, that is earth movements, we would be having two such kind of geomorphic process. One is endogenic process and one is exogenic process. Simply endogenic process are nothing but which comes from interior of the earth surface, and exogenic process are that nothing but those process which are created from the external aspects. So these are interior factors and these are exterior factors. Clear? So first we will try to catch up with endogenic forces. In endogenic forces in the interior of the earth surface, we might have two types of forces which would be acting. Two types of movements we may certify with. One is slow movement, which can be called as diastrophic movements, and one can be sudden movements. And these kind of slow movements or diastrophic movements can't be observed with our naked eye. You can't sit in front of a mountain in this way and you can't say that when this mountain rises and when this mountain range reaches to the certain heights. Can you see the process of building of mountain just by sitting at a plateau range? You can't say that. But can you see this? Can you see a volcanic eruption? Can you visualize earthquake? Yes, it is true. If earthquake comes, like we are like Jai Hind batch, nothing would be remained over there. That is secondary thing. But we can feel, we can experience this sudden movement. That is volcanic. Sir, can you please zoom it? Yeah, I'll be doing it. Just 1 minute. Is this clear? थोड़ा लंबा होना था ना, like it might have been bit large. Cool, no issues. Is it clear now? और थोड़ा कर दो. Shall I do it bit more? Clear? So like I'll just do it. Clear? And if you see, like as I've said, we have some particular movements like in that. Just 1 minute. Like in that, first I have said it is endogenic and exogenic, and in endogenic we started discussing about this. And if you see, these are slow movements in endogenic. See this tabular column you have in NCRTs also. I'll just do a bit, don't worry. यार इससे ज़्यादा नहीं हो रहा है, मैंने पीपीटी में इतना ही सेट कर लिया था. थोड़ा एडजस्ट हो जाओ इस क्लास में. आई विल ट्राई टू गेट ऑन टू बेस्ट थिंग फ्रॉम द नेक्स्ट क्लास. ये आपको एनसीईआरटी में भी मिल जाएगा, ठीक है, यू विल फाइंड दिस इन एनसीईआरटी ऑल्सो. Clear? Like, shall we start this? Clear? So, in this regard, whenever we discuss about these endogenic forces are nothing but they are slow movements and they are sudden movements. Clear? So, like, slow movements are called as diastrophic movements, sudden movements are called as fast moving movements. And in sudden movements, we can observe volcanism and earthquake. It is nothing but sudden movement of the earth surface, because of which the volcanism and earthquakes have come into picture. And sudden movements can be watched very clearly, but diastrophic forces are not seen by our naked eye. So if you see sudden movements about volcanism and earthquakes, we will be discussing in the further lecture separately. Now we will try to focus on the slow movements first. So in this diastrophic movements, we can divide it into two basic things. One is epirogenic movement and one is orogenic movement. So we would be having vertical movement, vertical slow movement, and we would be having horizontal slow movement. And vertical slow movement is called as epirogenic and horizontal movement is called as orogenic. Clear? And if you see epirogenic movements or vertical movements, they help in continental building process, and orogenic movements, they would be helping in mountain building process. Simply it is nothing but, for example, if this is earth surface which we have, vertical movements acts in this way, either upward vertical movement or downward vertical movement. Orogenic movements acts in this way, either towards each other or away from each other. So these are orogenic movements which are acting horizontally on the earth surface, and vertical movements which are acting vertically on the earth surface. Please do remember this. Clear? So these particular horizontal and vertical movements, they result into different processes on the earth surface. For example, first we will try to calculate about epirogenic movements. See, if you have a land surface in this way, and if any vertical epirogenic movement is acting on this, we would be having upliftment of land. Or if you have any such kind of vertical downward movement, we would be having subsidence of land. So either we would be having upliftment of land or either we would be having subsidence of land. Clear? Either we would be having upliftment of land or either we would be having subsidence of land. So in this way we would be seeing some embankments on the earth's surface, or we would be seeing some depressed zones on the earth's surface through which the continental process would be starting up. Clear? So in this orogenic movements, if you see, like for example, if on the continental surface, if orogenic movements are acting in a horizontal way towards each other, so when we have orogenic movements acting towards each other, what would be applied force which would be applied in this way? So we would be having applied compressional force, and this particular applied compressional force will result into folding of this continental crust. And we may have the concept of folding, and the concept of fold mountains might have been developed in this particular region. Or for example, if I say, if any on any continent, if the two forces are acting away from each other, then we would be having a break in continent, and then we would be having thinning of continent at the center, developing a rift valley kind of structure. So and hence we would be having development of block mountains over here. So such kind of scenarios are observed on the orogenic movements. And also, if this orogenic movement which is away from each other, if it is still intense, if it is still intense in nature, then we would be having development of fault. What is a fault? Fault is nothing but displacement of rock which happens in the interior of the earth's surface. We generally consider it as please everyone refresh your mobile phones, क्योंकि क्या होता है ना, like we had a long session, right? So because of that we might have strucking of this data usages and all. Once you refresh, you will find it good. According to my common sense of knowledge, please try to do that. लैपटॉप में तो अगर यार एक बार बंद करके रिफ्रेश कर दो, like see, my internet is very fine. I can watch everyone. Just 1 minute. Once I'll check again, I'll have a test. Just 1 minute. यार मेरा तो बिल्कुल लाइक 40 mbps स्पीड से चल रहा है. इट्स अ सुपर माय डियर, माय स्पीड इज एक्सेलेंट. प्रॉब्लम आपका उसमें ही होगा. माय स्पीड इज एक्सेलेंट. यार मैं हर दिन पढ़ाता हूँ यार, लाइक कोई दिक्कत नहीं आता है मुझे. या चलो done. So like fault is nothing but the displaced thing which generally happens, that would be considered as fault. Clear? So if you see the large scale movements on the earth's crust or its surface brought down by the forces emanating from deep below that surface are called as endogenic forces, and the geomorphic process that are derived by the forces emanating from deep, they are called as endogenic geomorphic process. Clear? So if you see, what are the forces behind endogenic movements? The ultimate source of energy behind the forces that drive endogenic movements is obviously Earth's internal heat. Earth's internal heat, as I have said, the Earth's internal heat which is present, that is just because of decay of radioactive materials, and that is just because of primordial matter which is present. Done. Please do remember this. These are the driving forces, and because of the temperature, huge pressure which is generated in this region, we would be experiencing the forces, we would be experiencing the endogenic movements which generally happen. Clear? And the convectional currents which raise, what is convectional current, we would be seeing further in the seafloor spreading. In the mantle drive the lithospheric plates, and movement of lithospheric plates is caused behind this endogenic forces. One is primordial heat, one is radioactive decay, and the next one is differences in temperature and pressure, and next is convectional current, and also Earth's rotation, that is the Coriolis force which is present, that will influence the convection currents, and that will hence influence the endogenic forces. So these all are factors which influence the endogenic forces. Most probably you may not get a question in general studies on what are the forces which are acting on this particular endogenic forces. These questions are limited to the optional students who take geography as their optional. You just focus on this geomorphic process itself. Clear? So simply this is one another tabular column. Classification: endogenic, it can be derived as diastrophic, sudden includes earthquake, volcanoes, and diastrophism, very slow forces which takes huge amount of years, which can't be seen with our naked eye. They are epirogenic and orogenic. Epirogenic have upward movement and downward movement, and orogenic have tensional forces which are moving away from each other, compressional forces which are moving towards each other. Please do remember this tabular column. This map, this image, this mind map will be helping you in every regard. Clear? So as endogenic, I have given few statements, like I have given, please make a pause over here later on and try to see what are these actually. Clear? So if you see, like classification, when we have seen, I have said about the diastrophic forces, right? So diastrophic forces, they refer to deformation of the Earth's crust due to the diastrophic movements such as folding, faulting, warping, and fracturing. What are the differences associated with that? I'll be showing you. But these diastrophic forces, as I have said, they can be derived as orogenic process and epirogenic process. Please do remember this. Epirogenic are this vertical movement. Orogenic are horizontal movements, either away from each other or either towards each other. Clear? And first we'll start up with epiroganic movement. Epiroganic or continent forming movements are radial movements act along the radius of the earth surface. The direction may be towards the earth surface or away from the center. Clear? Towards the center or away from the center. If, for example, if this is the earth's crust and if this is the center of the earth, if the direction of this kind of movement is away from the center portion of the earth surface, then we will observe upliftment of land. If the same scenario repeats in an opposite way, if the movement is towards the center, then we would be having subsidence of land. Generally these things happen. You can observe if this happens in the coastal region, we generally say it as emergence of coast, submergence of coast, and such kind of emergence and submergence of coast you can watch it in and around the Malabar coast, which is the coast of Kerala. There you can find the submergence of coast and also the emergence of coast, because of which the continental shelf has been developed over there. Done. So like upliftment, there are some examples related with that. So you can see the raised beaches in the coastal regions. You can see the elevated wave cut terraces. What are wave cut terraces? I'll show the images later on. And you can see the sea caves, and you can see the fossiliferous beds above the sea level. They are the evidence of upliftment in the coastal region. In India, raised beaches occur at several places all along the Kathiawar plateau, Kathiawar region of Gujarat, Nellore in Andhra Pradesh, and Tirunelveli coast of Tamil Nadu. And if you see, several places which were on the sea for some centuries ago are now a few miles inland due to the upliftment. So in the coastal regions, we would be having, in the coastal affinities, we would be observing the rise of the continental shelf. That is the best example which we can say related with this epirogenic movement. In the continental region, we can't easily observe the upliftment of continent, but in the coastal region, we can observe it very correctly. If you see, for example, the Koringa bird sanctuary, which is present at the mouth of the Godavari river, that Koringa region and Kaveri Patnam in the Kaveri Delta region and Korakai region on the coast of Tirunelveli, well, all flourishing seaports about 1000 to 2000 years ago. But these regions, if you observe as of now, just try to watch these regions, go and try to just Google these regions. They are somewhat far away from that of sea coast as of now. The reason behind it is the coast which has been present at the coast that got uplifted and made this region to move towards the inland. You can see this perfect example. Yes, Ravi, sir, give me some explanation about Coriolis force. Can you drop your question once again, Ravi? Can you please drop the question in more elaborate way so that I can explain it? See, if you could observe this particular location, earlier this was underwater, but because of the upliftment, this now became part of this particular landmass. And in the coastal regions, earlier these sea caves which were present, they were beneath the water. Now they have uplifted and now we can visualize them. And if you can see at the central portion of the sea, we had sudden upliftment of one such group of landmass. Clear? All these are examples of the upliftment of the continent. Next is subsidence. So in epirogenic movement, we have upliftment and subsidence. Clear? So submerged forest and valleys as well as buildings are the evidence of subsidence in the interiors of the continents. And in 1819, a part of Run of Kutch was submerged as a result of an earthquake. This is also one best example which you can quote. Presence of peat and lignite coal beds below the sea level in Tirunelveli region of Tamil Nadu and also in and around the Sundarban Delta region are the best examples of the subsidence. The Andaman Nicobar Islands have been isolated from the Arakaniomas. Arakaniomas are nothing but the extension of Purvanchals into Myanmar. They are called as Arakaniomas. That particular Arakanioma coast, this particular Andaman Nicobar Islands, whenever if you see these Andaman Nicobar Islands, they appears like isolated thing. they would be appearing like the isolated aspect from the Aracanioma coast. Clear? And this particular Andaman Nicobar Islands, they have this submergence, and you can observe in those particular regions. Clear? If you see, like the Andaman Nicobar Islands, they would appear like the submerged portion. Clear? This Arakaniomas, they have submerged underwater, and bit they have been elevated, and now we can say it as Andaman Nicobar Islands. Clear? Yes, I'll get back to you, Ravi. Simply, Coriolis force is nothing but a force. Any moving body will be generating a force, and in such a way, the earth which is rotating on its own axis, it would be developing a force that is called as Coriolis force. Please do remember this point. Clear? And if you see on the east side of Bombay Island, trees have been found embedded in the mud about 4 meters below the low water mark. All these are examples of these particular subsidence. Clear? So a large part of Gulf of Mannar and Park Strait, all these regions appears to be submerged underwater. Clear? And if you see, Ravi, like as the earth is rotating body, earth would exert one force, that is Coriolis force. And under this Coriolis force impact, Coriolis force is anti-clockwise in northern hemisphere and it is clockwise in southern hemisphere. Because of this anti-clockwise and clockwise nature in northern and southern hemispheres, we would be experiencing deflection of wind systems, deflection in water movements, deflection on the continental landmass formation. So hence the force exerted by the earth onto its surface, it would be the best example for the Coriolis force. And best with Coriolis force I'll be discussing in the wind system when we discuss about the climatology section. And next is orogenic movements. They are horizontal movements. Either they form towards each other or either they move away from each other. So when they are moving towards each other, they are called as tensional forces. And when they are moving away from each other, when they are moving towards each other, they are called as compressional forces. And when they are moving away from each other, they are called as tensional forces. Clear? So due to this movement towards each other, away from each other, we can see either the process of fold mountain building, or we can see process of fault development, because of which we would be experiencing block mountain development. All these aspects we can easily observe with this. Clear? So if you see, whenever on the continental crust, when compressional forces are applied, those orogenic forces which are moving towards each other, they would be resulting into compressional force. We would be having folding of the crust. You can see the real visualization of folding of crust. Is it visible for you? Is it visible for you, the folding of crust? So in this particular picture, you can see the folding of crust in this particular junction. So in this way, the crust would be folded, and this fold, if it happens for some several kilometers, for some hundreds of kilometers, such kind of folding would rise in a form of fold mountain, and Himalayas are the best examples of this. So epirogenic movements, like orogenic movements, they will help in process of mountain building formation. So either when the forces are acting towards each other, they create fold mountains, or when the forces are acting away from each other, they will be having the breakage of land in this way. As I've already said you, when we have movement in this way, when forces are acting away from each other, first there would be a crack developed, and then there would be thinning of continent at the center, which will have formation of rift valley. And hence from this rift valley, when you observe the adjacent land, it appears like a mountain range, and such kind of mountains are called as block mountains, which are not actually true mountains. We'll be discussing deeper into block mountains in the lecture of mountains and its distribution and its formation. Shall I zoom this diagram? Yes, Divya Darshini, I am zooming this. You can just find it out. It is maximum zoom which is available as of now. उससे ज़्यादा तो नहीं है. Clear? So This what about with endogenic movements, and now this is exogenic movements. Clear? Exogenic movements are those movements which act on the earth's surface from the top of the earth's surface. Clear? So exogenic movements which are present, these processes which are included, they are direct results of sun heat. Like sun energy dictates weather patterns like wind systems, precipitations, because of which we may have development of running water. Because of high temperatures, we may have development of huge blowing warm winds. Because of low temperatures at the higher altitudes, we may have development of the glaciers. So these external factors which are present, that external factors which would be present, they are direct result of the sun's heat itself. See, we have a process called as denudation. Just remember what is denudation. Hope everyone know about this keyword called as weathering, erosion, transportation, and deposition. You might have read these in NCRTs while you were reading. Clear? So weathering is a process of disintegration because of some external factors acting onto it, and after disintegration falling onto the ground surface under the influence of gravity, it is erosion. It is movement of the rocks away from this. And transportation, if you see, with that external force like that of running water, wind, this particular weathered material moving from one region to another region, that is called as transportation. And under the influence of this external force, if that external force is losing its capacity, then dropping that particular sedimental structure in one region, it is called as deposition. So combined process of weathering, erosion, transportation and deposition, it is nothing but it is process of denudation. All the exogenic process, weathering and erosion, are covered under a general term called as denudation. This weathering, erosion, transportation and deposition, these were earlier terms which we used to use. But this particular process, denudation, is one particular key term which we would be using as of now. The word denude means to stripe off or to uncover. Denudation depends upon physical and chemical properties of the rocks. It means the weathering, the erosion, the transportation and deposition depends upon the physical factors and chemical factors of the rocks. Physical factors may include folds, faults, or inclination of the beds of the rocks, and chemical properties, they may include the mineral components or the particular rock surfaces which are extremely exposed towards the sun's light. Clear? If you see, this is one particular diagrammatic representation which you have to remember. Denudation process, it would include the process of weathering, and it would include the process of erosion and transportation, and either it would include the process of mass movements. So we'll be discussing the mass movements later on, but as of now, just remember the processes include weathering, mass movements, erosion. And what are the driving forces for this particular weathering? Either gravitational forces or molecular stresses or chemical actions. And for mass movements, it is blindly gravitational force. And for erosion and transportation, it is kinetic energy. This is also a figure which I have taken directly from the NCRTs itself. Clear? So what is weathering? First we would be seeing this process, then you can understand every point perfectly. Weathering is disintegration of rocks, soil and minerals under the influence of physical features. Under the physical features include heat and pressure, that is temperature and pressure, and chemical processes also through process of leaching, oxidation, reduction and hydration. Done with this. Clear? Generally we have three types of weathering process. One is physical weathering, one is chemical weathering, and one is biological weathering. Human, along with the entire biotic community, is also involved in the process of weathering. You will wonder how actually this weathering happens. See, there are some processes of physical weathering. What are the things which I have said in physical weathering? It is temperature and it is also pressure which would be involved in the pressure process. Like first one, exfoliation, granular disintegration, frost wedging, block separation, shattering. If you could see, like all these physical weathering process, simply I'll share an example with you. In the desertified conditions, in the desertified conditions, what are the climatic conditions which you would be experiencing? You would be experiencing maximum temperatures during the day, and complete radiation happens. And in the evenings and nights, you would be experiencing somewhat cooler conditions. Deserts experience huge amount of diurnal ranges of temperature. So what generally happens is, due to this alternate pressures, due to this alternate temperatures, whenever we observe, the disintegration of rock happens. Like whenever during the morning section, whenever we have maximum temperatures in deserts, we would be having expansion of rocks. Or whenever during the night section, whenever the temperatures drop down, we would be having contraction of rocks. So during this alternate expansion and contraction, we would be having certain blocks which would be disintegrated from that main block. That is nothing but a process of physical weathering itself. And I can quote you one more example also. Like in the higher altitude regions, where generally we would be experiencing alternate freezing and thawings during the night and days. During the night, we would be having process of freezing. During the morning, we would be having process of thawing because the sun rays would be falling. So the moisture, when it is stick between the rocks, the moisture which has been stick between the rocks during the night scenario, what we would be having is the moisture content would be solidified, and hence we would be having increase of pressure on the rock. And again next day in the morning, we would be having process of thawing. So due to this alternate freezing and thawing, we would be experiencing disintegration of rocks. So these processes are called as generally weathering. You can see some of the visualizations. See here, because of the extreme pressure which has been created from the external rocks. Hope you can see this picture very well. So because of the external pressure which has been created, and when we had unloading of those particular rocks, we had disintegration of the topmost layer of the rock. So this process is called as the topmost layer. When it would be peeled off, it would be called as exfoliation. You can see onion cutting, onion peeling kind of structure here. So these kind of exfoliation processes which are present, they are called as onion weathering. Exfoliation is also called as onion weathering. So when the pressure of rock has been released from the top, then the topmost layer would be peeled off. That is called as exfoliation. And here you can see this particular granular disintegration. The rocks from main substrata, they are disintegrating, and this is called as granular disintegration of rocks. Clear? And here you can see frost wedging. The breakage which has happened on this particular image, that breakage has been created because of alternate thawing and freezing process. So here the block disintegration has happened. And here, because of maximum temperatures which have been developed in this region, so we had block disintegration. So these are nothing but the block disintegrations which are disintegrating from the main strata of the rock. They are considered under the process of physical weathering itself. Is this clear for everyone? Just refresh your page, Srinivas sir. Refresh your page once. Next, chemical weathering. Simply, chemical weathering is very simple. So whenever the chemical decomposition of rocks and soil happen, that would be considered under chemical weathering process. They include dissolution, solution, carbonation, hydration, oxidation, reduction, that acts on the rocks to decompose. Like I'll give an example. Like if atmospheric oxygen, if it is dissolved in the running water, already the water has oxygen, but if atmospheric oxygen is dissolved in it, and when that atmospheric dissolved oxygen, when it tends to move onto the rocks, so this particular oxygen, if it is moving on the rocks which have domination of iron, so this oxygen combines with that of iron, and we would be having generation of iron oxide, and that particular iron oxide is responsible for corrosion of rocks. As when we put our vehicles outside, of not using for continuous span of 6 months, exposing it to the climatic condition, what happens? Rusting of that vehicle happens. In that same way, the rusting and corrosion of rock happens, and that gives a similarity of weathering process. Clear? So, and you also have biological weathering. Like biological weathering is like trees, when they developed huge amount of roots, they have the capability of disintegrating rocks. Let it be flora and let it be fauna. Man is also responsible on his natural methods and also artificial methods. So man using different mineral resources, drilling and usage of quarrying, all these things, man is also responsible. Every living organism on the earth surface is responsible for weathering. Not very important. Clear? Biological weathering, it has very less sequence associated with it. Clear? So please by heart this geological time scale. So this would be the last chapter for today. In this lecture we would be discussing about continental drift theory. Sir, is earthquakes are the only reason for subsidence? No. Earthquake is not only the reason. Like whenever some force which is been acting from the interior of the earth surface, which is a downward force, that is the most important aspect. And the class is up to 11. This is up to 11. See, weathering is what is the difference between weathering and erosion? Mubina. See, weathering is disintegration, and erosion is after disintegration, movement of that particular disintegrated material either onto the surface or moving further. That process would be considered as erosion. Under the gravitational force or under any other external force, we would be having this particular thing. So, shall I continue the lecture? Just half an hour. Just within half an hour we'll finish this one particular continental drift theory and we would be ending it. Shall we move? And I request everyone to just remember these periods and eras. Clear? Because when I speak about some of the Cretaceous periods, clear? So when I would be discussing about Cretaceous periods, and when I say about coal was formed during Carboniferous period, so please try to remember this. And while you write some theoretical answers, so while you write answers on theories in your mains examination, please do quote these periods or eras. That will make you some fetching of extra addition of 1 or 2 marks. See, many people don't have this recognition of gaining 1 or 2 marks. I generally have a notion that every time whenever we try to write some better points in examination, in this 1 to 2 points which we write it as an extra, we'll gain 1 to 2 marks, and with this 1 to 2 marks itself we'll have lots of difference in our total. Somewhere around a difference of 100 to 120 marks would be, we would be gaining this. Clear? So please every time try to remember and write some of the unique points in your mains. Clear? So as this is not a mains lecture, I don't go deep into the points and discuss. Clear? So next, if you see the continental drift theory, one of the most basic theories which you have to understand on every aspect, it is continental drift theory. So we were not having any like answers related with many questions like why volcanoes, why earthquakes, and why these continents are showing some similarities. So like we had many questions associated with that. So this particular theory has broken down all the notions which were present on the basis of formation of different continents. Clear? So this theory is a flop theory. This theory is a flop theory, but this theory has given a renaissance to get on to further upcoming theories like seafloor spreading process and plate tectonics theory. So first we'll try to understand continental drift theory, then we will move further. Clear? So continental drift theory, it was proposed in 1920s, like it was proposed by Alfred Wegener. Simply, if you see Alfred Wegener, he was not a geomorphologist to give this particular theory. Alfred Wegener was a meteorologist. Who is a meteorologist? Meteorologist is that person who deals with climatology. So Alfred Wegener, in order to guess the future of the climatic position of the world, he wanted to read about the past climates. So while he wanted to read about the past climates and want to predict about the future climates, he has collected some evidences, and in such kind of evidences he have found many such, he have collected huge amount of rock evidences, fossil evidences, and in such kind of evidences he has come up with some interesting things. And what were those kind of interesting things? See, one is India, near to that of Odisha region, we have Tropic of Cancer. So, if Tropic of Cancer is located near to the Odisha, how could Odisha region would be experiencing landforms which are generated by glacier? And he has also examined some of the coal fields of Europe. When he has thought like what actually the coal field of Europe, everyone remember about this particular Ruhr region of Germany. When he has started reading about the Ruhr region of Germany, generally Ruhr region of Germany is having huge domination of coal, but in that region we don't have heavy precipitation, and when we don't have heavy precipitation, no heavy vegetation. When there is no heavy vegetation, then how come coal has been existed in that particular German region? So for that he has came to a conclusion, and this particular Alfred Wegener has came up with some conclusions, that he has believed the concept of Edward Suez. In the starting of lecture, while discussing about interior of the earth, I have said Edward Suez, he was a person who have given about the interior of the earth surface, saying that interior of the earth surface can be divided as Sial, Sima and Nife. And Edward Suez accepted the theory of Alfred Wegener accepted the theory of Edward Suez, and Alfred Wegener accepted that Sial is floating on Sima. But is it true? Is really the Sial floating on Sima? No, absolutely. It is not Sial which is floating on Sima. Sial accordingly is crust, continental crust, and Sima is accordingly oceanic crust. This is a statement which was given by Edward Suez. But really this is not true. It is actually not the Sial floating on Sima. Rather it is lithosphere, which is broken like a segmental structure floating on asthenosphere. But this was not considered by Alfred Wegener. Just he has blindly believed about Edward Suez concept. And Alfred Wegener had two options in front of him to read about the past climates. One was either continents might have been in state of permanency, the climates might have been drifted, or climates might have been in state of permanency, continents might have been drifted. In both these logical approaches, it was the second option which this Alfred Wegener has chosen to recreate and reconstruct the climatic past of the earth. So while he has opted the option that climatic regions were constant and it is continents which were drifted, then he came up with a theory, like unwantedly he came up with a theory called as continental drift theory. And according to this theory, he said that Alfred Wegener, who has given this theory, he said that earlier we had one continental landmass called as Pangaea. Like this is the theory which he has given. There was one continental landmass called as Pangaea. This is according to Alfred Wegener. I am not saying anything extra apart from what has been said by Alfred Wegener. I am just saying what Alfred Wegener has said. And you also write the same thing what Alfred Wegener has said, and don't create and recreate the points. Clear? According to Alfred Wegener, and when you write your answers, please try to write according to Alfred Wegener, according to continental drift theory. That will help you in every regard. Clear? So according to Alfred Wegener, we had a single continental landmass called as Pangaea, and surrounding this Pangaea we had a water mass called as Panthalassa, which was called as superocean. That was called as supercontinent, and this is called as superocean. And certain factors and certain forces acted on this particular body, and after when the forces have been acted, what are the forces which Alfred Wegener has given? I'll be saying you within a while. Because of certain forces, what Alfred Wegener said is this particular single continental landmass were divided into two continental landmass called as Laurasia and Gondwana land. And what were the reasons which were given by Alfred Wegener? These are somewhat interesting in nature. These were the false reasons which Alfred Wegener could not even believe in a logical way. He has given these reasons. If you see the reasons which were given by Alfred Wegener was, one was gravitational pull of sun and moon. This is one reason which was given by Alfred Wegener. Second reason which was given by Alfred Wegener was buoyancy force. As he believed the concept of Edward Suez, he himself was false. And to that false, this Alfred Wegener believed that theory and said that it is buoyancy force. It means the continents are floating on the oceans. That's why they are drifting towards the north. These two were the reasons which were given by, which were propounded by Alfred Wegener. And these two reasons can be written in the criticism. While you write the criticism of Alfred Wegener's continental drift theory, you can also write these particular reasons as criticism. Everything appears very perfect, but the reasons which were given by Alfred Wegener doesn't appear that perfect in nature. Clear? So please try to remember this. There was single continent landmass called as Pangaea, which was surrounded by Panthalassa, and certain forces acted on this. Then we had two divisions of continental landmasses called as Laurasia and Gondwana land. And when these two landmasses were divided, we had formation of a sea in between these two landmasses that was considered as Tethys Sea. And this particular single continent landmass was present during the Permian phase, 250 million years ago, right away from now. And this division happened just 200 million years ago during the Triassic phase. Clear? And if you could see, and in that scenario, see, this was during the Permian phase where we had single continent landmass. Then it got divided into 2, then later on divided into 3, then later on divided into 5, and then later on divided into 7. So right now, present day, you can see this particular continents: South America, North America, Asia, Africa, Australia, and Antarctica. If you could see, all these would be appeared in such a way that they were earlier part of that single landmass called as Pangaea, which was propounded by Alfred Wegener. Please do remember these particular terms. And whenever you write your answers, please do mention this as Permian phase. During Triassic phase, the continent was divided into two land masses called as Laurasia and Gondwana land. And during this Jurassic phase, it was divided into three continental land masses. And during this Cretaceous phase, it was divided into 5 continental land masses. And it was during this present era, we had this particular 7 continents. Clear? So in this way, the 7 continents were divided. This was propounded by Alfred Wegener. You can find out this figure in your NCERTs as well. And if you see the forces responsible, these are highly important because they are negative forces. So you can directly write it in criticism. If you see, the equatorward movement of the continents is happening due to interaction of forces of gravity and pole fleeing force. It means due to centrifugal pole fleeing force is nothing but centrifugal force caused by the Earth's rotation, and also buoyancy force. Clear? These were the reasons which were mentioned by Alfred Wegener. And if you see, the westward movement of the continents is due to tidal currents because of the Earth's motion. And Wegener suggested that tidal force, that is gravitational pull of sun and moon, also played a major role. So these were the forces which were given by Alfred Wegener. But my simple question to Alfred Wegener, he is not alive right now, but you think yourself as Alfred Wegener and just imagine that if gravitational pull of sun and moon might have had the capacity of making the continents to move, don't you think that that same gravitational force might have stopped the rotation of Earth as well? But did the rotation of Earth stop? Did the rotation of Earth change? Did the time phase change? No, absolutely this was not logical in nature. But this particular theory has given a basic platform for rest of the theories. That's the reason why this theory is highly important for you. Clear? So what were the evidences? Like people, however, would be asking about the evidences. Sir, please explain the evidences in their support. Then what are the evidences which were given by this particular Alfred Wegener? Our very sincere person Alfred Wegener has given many evidences in his regard. He did not collect all these evidences after giving the theory. These evidences he was having before giving this theory. Like when he has collected the different evidences which were present, those different evidences which he has collected for reading about the climatic past of the earth. He himself has placed these evidences, and see, these evidences will be 100% matching to your logical approach now. If you see the first evidence, that is jigsaw fit. What is jigsaw fit? In childhood, like we used to play a puzzle, like we used to match all these jigsaw fit. Hope everyone remember about this jigsaw fit, right? So in this way, whenever you see the continent continuously, whenever you see these continents, the South American western coast appears to match with the African eastern coast, and the Indian margin appears to have match with Africa and Antarctica, Australia. It all seems to have, we would be having coastal proximities. So because of these coastal proximities, it was the first evidence which was given by Alfred Wegener, that uh, that is sincerely appearing true. If you open your atlas and place it somewhat far distance away from you, just watch it, all the continents appear to be a part of one each other continent. All the continents would be appear like one single continent itself. Please try to see that once, you will 100% able to, you will 100% guess, you can guess the matching of all these continents as one single continent. Clear? So if you see, the bulge of Brazil seems to fit into the Gulf of Guinea region of Africa. Greenland seems to fit in Baffin Islands of Canada. West coast of India, Madagascar and Africa have to fit, and they are as resembled to be joined. North America and South America on one side, and Africa and Europe on the other side, they tends to fit. If you see, all these have the similarities. Clear? And the next, if you see the formation of different mountainous groups, the Appalachian Mountains of North America, they have some similarities with British Isles Mountains and Caledonian Mountains which are present. We have similarities associated with that. So all these have similarities, equal time of origin, equal chemical composition. What does it mean? It means that these mountains, they were formed when these continents were part of one singular continent itself. This is the second evidence given by Alfred Wegener. Clear? And in such way, we have many other evidences given by Alfred Wegener. Like he has given some botanical evidences. He has collected some fossil evidences. Distribution of fossil, if you see, there were many fossils which were distributed. Like he has collected some fossils from South America. He has collected some fossils from North America, Africa, India and Australia. Those fossils seems to have similarities of birth ages. So how could this have been possible? And he has collected different rocks, and he has shown different botanical evidences. In all these aspects, in all these evidences, he has given some such kind of hundreds of examples. But hundreds of examples are not necessary. Whenever you write evidences in support of this theory, please try to focus on these particular supports itself. This was already a question asked in UPSC, I hope in 2013 mains. Explain what is continental drift, and also explain the evidences in its support. So this was a question which was asked in UPSC already in your mains examination. Clear? So as I've said, what is the criticism? Coastlines are a temporary feature and are liable to change. If you can criticize that particular jigsaw fit, this is what generally happens. And several other combinations of fitting in of unrelated landforms could be attempted even. If you see, India can also be joined with North America, and if you see, Australia can also be joined with Europe. So such kind of unrelated continents can also be have a match of this. And if you see, continental drift theory shifts India's position too much to south, distorting its relationship with the Mediterranean Sea and Alps. But whenever we discuss about Himalayas, we consider that Himalayan mountain ranges have some connection with the mid-world belt of mountains like the Hindu Kush chains and the Pamir Knot and all. Clear? So all these criticisms, along with the criticism of gravitational pull of sun and moon, along with the criticism of the buoyancy force, we have come to a conclusion that this theory was false. But this theory has given many other points which have acted as a basic platform for the development of the next such kind of theories called as seafloor spreading and plate tectonics theory. Clear? If you see pole wandering, it is also one of the most important evidences which were given. The position of poles constantly drifted, and that position of poles did not actually drift. It is the magnetic north and magnetic south which actually drifted. It is not the entire geographical north pole or south pole which got drifted. So these things were criticized continuously. And as I've said, like botanical evidences, if you see the presence of glossopteris vegetation in carboniferous rocks of India, Australia, South Africa, and Falkland Islands of South America and Antarctica, split from same landmass called as Gondwana, can be explained from the fact that parts were linked in the past. But criticism can happen, like similar vegetation is found in unrelated parts of the world. Like if you could see, equatorial rainforest is found in Indonesia, Africa, and South America, isn't it? So this particular vegetation aspect has been completely criticized. And see, if you could see, there are many other evidences. Like if you see the fossil evidences, the remains of Cynognathus, a Triassic land reptile approximately 3 meters long, it has been found in South America and Africa. And this Alfred Wegener has given the example that as South America has connection with that Africa, we had the same fossil evidences in that regard. And the next is the fossil evidence of Triassic land reptile Lystrosaurus. It has its connection with India, Africa, this Madagascar region, and Antarctica. The fossils were found in these three regions. And if you see the fossils of fern Glossopteris, as I have said about the vegetation which is present, that is found in all the four continents. If you could see South America, Africa, India, and Australia. So with these references, he has examined that as this vegetation, as this fossils availability has been found in different continents, the same fossils, how they can travel to different continents. This was the logical point of this particular Alfred Wegener. But that can happen very easily. Hope everyone know about the concept of homoplasy. One particular species can origin at several places. So I also don't know exactly about the biological definitions. Once you refer what is the definition of homoplasy, you will 100% understand. So he has given such kind of fossil evidences which can be correlated with many other aspects. And distribution of fossils, like this was as we have discussed, and I have said like ancient rocks of 2000 million years from the Brazilian coast matches with that of Western Africa. Like rocks of same age and similar characteristics are found in other parts of the world too. If you could see, Alp mountains and Himalayan mountains have similarities. What does it mean? It means that India was part of Europe. No, absolutely false. And tillate deposits, clear, all these evidences were given by Alfred Wegener. Placer deposits. And if you could see, these are the drawbacks of this particular continental drift theory. Please do remember this. Remember the evidences, remember the drawbacks, remember the theory. Chances are there, least times the question would be coming in your preliminary examination. Clear? Most chances that this question comes in mains. Is this clear? Just 1 minute. Is this clear? So this is the last point of the lecture. Thank you for watching this, and please do install the app of Unacademy learning app from your Play Store and try to get the subscription done. And before getting the subscription done, try to use this code called as VK10, as I have mentioned to you in the earlier of the class. Please try to use this code, and also try to attend the classes of special classes. You will 100% will be able to gain knowledge from this. And Unacademy is conducting huge amount of special classes on the lee of lockdown which happened in the country. So please try to attend, and please try to subscribe to Unacademy, and don't forget to use this code called as VK10. Clear? So please subscribe to Let's Crack UPSC English channel. People who haven't clicked the bell icon, which is just beneath this video, please click on the bell icon for continuous notifications, and do subscribe to Let's Crack UPSC CSE English channel, and also subscribe to Unacademy. And before getting the subscription of Unacademy done, please try to use this code called as VK10. Clear? So that you will be getting 10% discount. Yes, Ankit, I am on way. See, longitudinal waves are those waves which move in a straight way. Like they don't have any movement. Wave-like structures are not present. We would be having a linear movement. Like if you see the waves which generally travel, they travel in this way. These are longitudinal waves. And if you see, there would be some other waves which would be which would be moving in this way. These are transverse waves. So longitudinal waves, they travel very quickly to the destination. Transverse wave, they travel very slow to the destination. And the primary waves which we have, they are nothing but longitudinal waves. Is this clear for everyone? Shall we end up the session? And we will discuss the next part of geomorphology in the next lecture. We'll be discussing about seafloor spreading, plate tectonics, mountain building process, volcanism, and earthquake further. Thank you for watching this lesson. Have an awesome day. Jai Hind. Stay safe, stay home, and please do share this video on your social platform so that it can reach as much as it can. Clear? So please support me. That would be the only motivation. Yes, the doubt is like, sir, what is thawing? Gradual melting of ice sheets or gradual melting of glacier, it would be considered as thawing process. And is this clear? Yeah, Ravi Kumar. Thank you for watching this lesson. Have an awesome day. Please do share this video on your social platforms. More and more views, more and more likes will give me much amount of kick and motivation to come better and better for you. Chalo. Thank you for watching this lesson. Have an awesome day. I'm signing off. Have a great night. We'll meet tomorrow. Good night.